Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Yes,
Listen,
indeed.
we're working with our members on our way forward and to make sure that we provide fairness to the American people.
Mr. Speaker, can you guarantee to the American people Congress will not go past the deadline and push us into default?
Listen, I have made clear for months and months that the idea of default is wrong, and we shouldn't get anywhere close to it.
Last question. Mr. Speaker, will there be a vote today on the plan?
Are you going to vote today on this plan that would make some changes to the Senate bill?
We're talking with our members on both sides of the aisle to try to find a way to move forward today. Thanks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show. John Boehner, the Speaker of the House, earlier today, as the Republicans in the House try to put together their deal or their proposal, because they don't like the Senate deal as it's being formulated, even though, as we speak, talks in the Senate are on hold, waiting to see what the House does. And all this while, although yesterday we thought they were going into a meeting as well, and it was canceled, but as far as we know right now, the Obama and his administration are going to meet with House Democratic leaders. Now, here's the bottom up. Here's the response to what Boehner said from Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi. Let's listen to 40.
That progress evidently has struck fear in the hearts of the House Republicans, whose reckless, radical behavior has called upon them to sabotage the bipartisan effort in the United States Senate.
I'm very disappointed with John Boehner, who would once again try to preserve his role at the expense of the country. I've worked hard to rise above partisanship and find common ground in the Senate. And, Mr. President, we've done that together for the good of the nation.
Yeah, all right. There he is, Harry Reid after Nancy Pelosi. Pelosi, reckless, radical sabotage. Today, Jay Carney, the White House press spokesperson, again used, hostage and ransom and all that kind of incendiary language yet again because they think it's working for them in the polls. So here's basically where we are, okay? What the House is considering is, lift the debt ceiling, a plan that would reopen the government till January 15th, lift the debt ceiling till February 7th. But they would also want a 2-year delay on the Obamacare tax on medical devices, which, even though 79 senators favor the delay, Obama call it hostage taking and ransom, okay? They also want to cancel the health insurance subsidies for members of Congress. Ransom. That's ransom, okay? Another change being considered is adding the full version of an amendment originally offered by Senator David Vitter, Republican from Louisiana, which would cut off health care subsidies for Capitol Hill aides as well. Hostage taking. I don't see this president giving into any of those. I don't see it. What the Senate bill basically says is, again, reopen the government for a limited time, raise the debt ceiling for a limited time, and basically nothing else except verification for people who claim that they're entitled to subsidies to pay for Obamacare. Scott Garrett, congressman from New Jersey, told us yesterday that's already in the bill. But Obama, like the dictator he is, or the dictator he wants to be, I should say, has said, we're not going to enforce that income verification because it'll make it too hard, too intimidating for people who deserve the subsidies to get the subsidies. So again, we keep hearing that this is settled law, right? It's settled law. 2 presidential elections, Supreme Court validation, passed by the House and the Senate, settled law, yet the president keeps changing this settled law. He takes the settled law and says, you don't have to abide by it. You don't have to abide by it. We're not going to enforce this. We're not going to enforce that. And that's where we are. That's exactly where we are. So I don't know what to suggest anymore. I'm of the opinion that what the Republicans are going to have to do, and whether Boehner even maybe has to do it by taking this to the vote of the full House, is make sure we raise the debt ceiling and open the government. And then the Republicans have to do something they are basically doing, and that's communicating. We gave in. Yes, America, we gave in to an extent, not because we're wrong, but because we're facing off against a president who, unlike any other previous president, we believe would punish America, would like to see America suffer. That's what should be said. But don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. Because I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Now, can you tell me what this means? By the way, Steve Lonegan, who's closing on the is tomorrow. The question of for the special election for the U.S. Senate seat from New Jersey, Steve Lonegan, Republican, Cory Booker, Mayor of Newark, Democrat. Question still is, where does Cory Booker live? Lonegan will join us, but I want you to hear cut 27. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who, God forbid, is being considered reportedly to replace Janet Napolitano as head of Homeland Security. I kid you not. God help us. Not that it could get much worse, but God help us. Okay. Listen to what she said on the floor of the Senate, floor of the House the other day, cut 27.
It is not the truth to suggest that there are not enough voters, members of Congress, that would vote right now today to open this government. It's something called a continuing resolution, but it's a bill that you put on the floor that has been passed already by Republicans and Democrats in the United States Senate. This is not an idea of anyone over another person. Republican and Democratic senators have already voted for this clean bill that we could vote on today. We have martial law. What that means, and my colleagues know what it means, is that you can put a bill on in just minutes.
Martial law? Martial law? Sheila Jackson Lee, the woman who would be Homeland Security? Now, here's what worries me. Has she been talked about by the administration about being Homeland Security chief? Has the issue of martial law come up in those talks with the administration and Sheila Jackson Lee if she takes on the role of Homeland Security director? Is that why martial law, which would suspend the Constitution, is that why martial law is on the brain of Sheila Jackson Lee? What the heck she was talking about in the House? You know, we have martial law, which means we could pass a bill quickly. That obviously is insane, and she doesn't. Obviously, it was some kind of slip. Was it a Freudian slip? Was it a slip because she's been discussing martial law? That's what scares the heck out of me, because of the position she's said to be being considered for by the President of the United States. Martial law. Bank that one. We're coming back with Steve Lonegan, Steve Malzberg, right here, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family.
Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already an Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today. Go to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
I used to sleep like a baby. Now I have to get up in the middle of the night just to go to the bathroom. And not just once.
Men, if you suffer from frequent urination, the inability to empty your bladder, a hesitant urine stream, or leaking due to an aging prostate, listen to this. Renowned physician Dr. David Brownstein believes this does not need to be an inevitable part of aging. After extensive research, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Prostate Revive, the dietary supplement specifically formulated to help improve and sustain normal prostate function. And now you can receive a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. For complete details, visit prostaterevive.com/offer. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Learn how you can try Prostate Revive for 30 days at prostaterevive.com/offer. Hurry, limited time offer. That's prostaterevive.com/offer.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Cory Booker has spent his entire life bringing people with different perspectives together, regardless of party, to take on tough challenges. Take it from me. Now more than ever before, that's the kind of leader we need in the school. Asking you to pledge to vote for Cory on Wednesday and to make a plan. What time will you be able to get to the polls? Do you know your polling location?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States providing you every reason to go out tomorrow if you live in the state of New Jersey and vote for Steve Lonegan, because he's plugging Cory Booker. Joining us right now is Mayor Steve Lonegan, former mayor of Bogota, New Jersey, who is running for the U.S. Senate seat from that state in the special election tomorrow against the mayor of Newark. Hello, Steve.
Hey, Steve. It's great to be with you. Thank you on the eve of this historic election. I mean, the whole country is watching New Jersey tomorrow. You know, we had Sarah Palin in, we've had Rand Paul, Governor Chris Christie, we've had Rick Perry, and now we have Reince Priebus, the RNC, campaigning for me tonight in Morristown as we head into the final stretch. Steve, this is an all-out referendum on everything Obama is doing to the country. This is a referendum on Obamacare, on the Federal Department of Education intrusion into the education of our children. It's a referendum on the recent revelations about the NSA go even further than we thought in collecting our contact lists off of our computers. So a lot can be accomplished in New Jersey tomorrow. It can really rock the political spectrum and also start putting America back on track.
Well, I want to ask you about the latest, Steve, and this is something that came to light yesterday. The Daily Caller had a story, and it basically questioned, and it went to residents of Newark who are neighbors, quote-unquote neighbors of Cory Booker. And they say they never see him. Now, I have those sound bites, which I'm going to play later, of the neighbors, but here's what I want you to hear. In typical Cory Booker fashion, and I say that because I witnessed the last debate, where every answer to every question, he was robotic and just basically the same thing. Tea Party, my opponent, Tea Party, divide. Never answered a question. And you, I got to say, were wonderful in that debate, especially, well, on so many issues, but on the end with the abortion issue, you blew me away and you blew him away. But here on WCBS News Radio 88 in New York, they had Booker on yesterday. I know they also had you on afterward. And they asked him, and this was a quote, "Where do you live?" And here's the answer, which he never gave, cut 21.
So in the final 2 days of this election, instead of talking about issues, which he's trying to distract people from its extremism and the fact that he led the Tea Party, he's trying to bring up manufactured issues, which are absolutely untrue and baseless and factless, especially if anybody knows where I live. I mean, coming home at night, my neighbors see me all the time. You all reported on whether it's Sandy victims who were displaced on my block, staying in my apartment, whether it's even me helping a neighbor out during a time where she had a fire in her home. The reality is it's unfortunate that he's trying to do this at a time to distract from extremist views. And it's, again, another example of the kind of guy he is or would be if he was a United States Senator.
They specifically asked him, so tell us, settle this, Mayor, where do you live? And he never, this went on for quite some time, he never answered the question.
Vague, vapid rhetoric. That's what we've been hearing on every issue. This is a guy who gets on late-night talk shows with Jimmy Fallon and others and talks about the wonderful job he's done in turning Newark around. Here's what turning Newark around means. It means unemployment goes from 8 to 14% under this mayor. Robberies at a 14-year-old high. Violent crime its highest since before he was mayor. And murders headed towards over 100 this year, over 710 murders in the streets of Newark. Shootings in the streets of Newark. And yes, Steve, yes, bodies in the Passaic River. That is a fact. That is an absolute fact.
Which is a reference to what you said at the debate, which he took exception to, yeah.
That's because in the Star Ledger in the last several months alone, there were 2 bodies fished out. There started almost 20 since he's been mayor. So it happens to be a real fact. And I use it to illustrate just how poor the job is. But yeah, he'll run around late-night talk shows in Hollywood telling everybody what a great job he's done turning the city around. People in that city are furious. They're absolutely furious with their no-show mayor. And I suspect that it's true. I mean, this came out through other sources, that he doesn't live in that house and he doesn't live anywhere near Newark.
Do you believe he lives in New York City?
That's what people say. But again, this came out of other news sectors. I mean, the Hawthorne house he claimed he lived in apparently is some sort of police substation. The other house he said he lives in is vacant.
And did he not use a P.O. box to file for the Senate race?
Yeah, it's very strange. It's all very sketchy, but it's pretty indicative of the facade. Cory Booker's a facade. He's a made-up candidate. He's made up by Hollywood. His issues, and I pointed this out in the beginning of the debate, his issues and his points determined by his consultants, his polling, and his acting coaches. He doesn't know what he stands for or why he stands for whatever he stands for. And that's what this election, I've given clear-cut, straight talk to New Jersey down the entire 16 weeks of this election. I believe it's what resonates with voters. That's what they're hungry
for. All right, well,
for.
let me ask you, reality. The truth is we live in, because I live in New Jersey, we live in a Democratic state for the most part. I mean, you do have Governor Christie. I believe he's an aberration, certainly, if you look at the history of the elections, especially on the U.S. Senate side. So tell me, is it going to be turnout that's going to be the key? Is it going to be the campaign you've run or the campaign he's run? What's the key to tomorrow?
It's the campaign that I've run. It's been a 16-week, hard drive, the tortoise versus the hare. We've exposed his failed record. We've exposed who he really is. We've defined the difference between me and him in a way that resonates with voters, with Republicans, with independents, and with conservative Reagan Democrats. That's who's going to vote tomorrow. It's the people who are passionate about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, their individual liberties. They're angry about Obama saying, well, if you like your health insurance, you can keep it. Now over 800,000 people in New Jersey have received their letters that they're being thrown off of their health insurance. It's the parents who don't want the Federal Department of Education telling them how to teach their kids. It's the people who are upset about the NSA confiscating their contact lists.
And Steve, we only got about a minute, and you have said that he and Obama are one and the same. So this, if your victory tomorrow would send what message to Washington?
Well, it rocks the entire establishment, by the way, including the Republican Party, because it reestablishes the conservative movement. And there's going to be about, I think, 23 Democrat senators up for election next year. They're going to have a whole different view of life. And what you're going to learn is you can stand boldly on your conservative principles if you articulate them with integrity, that you win on that. That's what's mobilizing so many grassroots activists across the state of New Jersey right now. Steve, we have a phenomenal ground game. It's second to none. Everybody will admit that, and that's what's going to win this race.
All right,
it's
Steve.
Fourth and goal, and we're putting it over the line.
All right, Steve. We'll speak to you after the fact. Thank you very much, my friend.
Lonigan.com, Steve.
Got it, Lonigan.com. All right, folks, don't forget, if you live in New Jersey and you're listening on our great affiliate WCTC, the election is tomorrow, Wednesday, so get out and vote. We're going to talk to Shmuley Boteach, Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, a lifelong friend of Cory Booker, later in the show, and ask him some of these same questions about Cory Booker. But when we come back, very interesting story about a former NFL running back and ESPN ABC analyst fired by Fox Sports. Wait till you hear why he says he was fired on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Okay, folks, this is going to interest anyone with diabetes or pre-diabetes. And what I'm about to tell you is pretty controversial, so you'll definitely want to consult your doctor first. But if diabetes is a concern of yours, there's a website that you need to see, 99reverse.com. At that site, they reveal what they call the one weird spice that you probably have in your kitchen right now and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. Now, what they say is people who have followed this plan exactly as found at 99reverse.com have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's approval, of course. At 99reverse.com, you get 3 specific actions to take right now, today, to get your blood sugar under control in just 4 weeks or less. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com. Find out now. Check with your doctor, of course, because I'm not giving you medical advice here. But if you have diabetes or you're worried about your blood sugar, I think you should check out 99reverse.com.
When you were younger, you probably never considered your heart health. But cardiologist Dr. Chauncey Crandall knows from experience that taking steps to care for your heart becomes more crucial as the decades pass. If you want to come. That's why Dr. Crandall recently developed Cardio Advanced, a nutritional supplement containing 12 special ingredients, all selected to help improve and maintain your heart health and normal cholesterol levels. The flagship of this exclusive formula, esterified plant sterols, may help lower your risk of heart disease when taken as part of a diet low in cholesterol and fat. And great news, now you have the opportunity to try a 30-day supply of Cardio Advanced. Simply cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act right now, you'll also receive a free doctor's guide to a healthy heart as a special bonus. Please visit cardioadvanced.com/radio for complete details on claiming your 30-day bottle of Cardio Advanced and free report. That's cardioadvanced.com/radio. Life is too precious to ignore your heart health. Visit cardioadvanced.com/radio now while supplies last.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call the special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Constipation, gas, bloating. Most people suffer through. But now there's a simple solution for occasional digestive problems called Bactipro. Developed by holistic medical doctor David Brownstein, Bactipro is the fiber probiotic formula that supports healthy digestive and immune health. And it comes in the form of an easy-to-eat, tasty wafer. Bactipro contains 6 powerful strains of beneficial probiotic bacteria, dietary fiber, and bacteria-nourishing prebiotics, plus powerful antioxidants. Now you can receive a 30-day supply of Bactipro. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit Bactipro.com/special. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Probiotics and Your Health. Improve your digestive health now. Learn how you can receive your 30-day supply at Bactipro.com/special. That's BACTIPRO.com/special. Bactipro.com/special.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And, it's no secret, in my view, that religious freedom is under attack in this country, has been for quite some time, especially under the Obama administration. And we could point to many different aspects and examples of why I believe that is the case, as I have done on this show many, many times. And our freedom of speech has been under attack for a long, long time. And our freedom of speech, Al Sharpton has become, if you go back to even the Imus incident, Al Sharpton is the guy that everybody has to run to if you say something that's racially offensive. And he gets to decide if you, in fact, live or die in your profession, which is a sham and a farce to begin with. But it's gotten worse and worse. And, of course, conservatives are always held to that double standard, in my view. I think we've documented that here, too, on this show, time after time after time. Vicious, vile, vulgar remarks by those on the left, whether they're radio hosts or MSNBC commentators or politicians, and they survive and they get out of it unscathed. But if you're conservative and you say something, boy, oh boy, you better watch it. And our next guest claims that he is a victim of just that. Craig James, you know the name, former NFL running back, former sportscaster for ESPN, ABC, CBS, and most recently at Fox Sports, joins us. Hey, Craig, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Steve. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my attorney, Hiram Sasser. Hello, Hiram.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And Hiram is from, thank you, Hiram is from Liberty Institute. All right, so Craig, why don't you tell your story? You believe that you were let go by Fox Sports, and you believe that it was based on something that you had said during a Senate run when you were seeking the Senate back over a year prior.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's the crazy thing. My statements for what I was fired over occurred during a candidate debate forum when I was asked what the definition of marriage was, and I said it's between a man and a woman. My biblical belief, it's what God tells me. I believe all of the Bible, not part of the Bible. So let me kind of run you through this brief deal. Fox Sports Southwest called and asked if I would be interested in joining their Saturday evening programming for a 1-hour show. And I said, hey, that'd be great. Friday night, Labor Day weekend, they issue a national press release, very flattering, complimentary. Craig James joining us. He'll be an asset to the coverage. Saturday night, the next day, I did my show, felt like things went well. Sunday, the next day, I get a phone call that evening from the general manager saying that Fox Sports, the parent company, the holding company out in California, they are no longer going to allow this to happen. You're done. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Well, the next morning, I come to find out, a Fox spokesperson told the Dallas Morning News that my answer and my statement that I had made as a candidate for the Senate on what I thought marriage was would not fly in their HR department.
Well, and we're having a little trouble hearing you right now. You said that Dallas Morning News statement from Fox said that it would not fly, correct?
Right. It would not fly in the HR department. He couldn't make those statements around here. So my biblical belief, the right that I have in this country as an American citizen in the First Amendment, I am being punished, fired, because I hold that belief.
Right, and I don't believe that this is about whether you believe, in gay marriage or don't believe in gay marriage. I believe it's about freedom of speech. Although I will say, and I'm playing devil's advocate here to an extent, Hiram Sasser, Craig's attorney. Let me just ask you this: does a broadcast? Well, I guess the difference. I'm answering my own question as I think about it. He didn't say this on the air at Fox.
That's right.
It probably would have been different if he said that, in a sportscast about gay marriage on the air at Fox. Then they'd have every right to say that doesn't belong in our sportscast. But this is something he said over a year prior that they, you believe, fired him
That's
for,
right.
and that's what distinguishes it. Correct?
Well, look, that's a lot. It's a big difference between him saying it on the air, as an employee or representing Fox. That's a big difference between that and what they're essentially doing here is they're punishing him for his belief. They're saying, look, we heard you say this 15 months ago, and we've decided it's people like you who hold those types of beliefs, who would say those things in their own time. Those types of people are not the type of people that we want to have at Fox Sports. That's what's dangerous about this. What's dangerous about this is the equivalent of you got fired because somebody overheard what you said at your Sunday school classroom, or they saw a Facebook posting that you did in your own personal space talking about your biblical beliefs. And getting fired and terminated because of what you believe and what you stand for, and especially when it's a position that, here Craig was taking this in the Senate debate, running in the primary of the Senate in Texas. He took a position that 76% of Texans had just voted on a few years ago, agreeing with that same position. So it's shameful that Fox would fire somebody for holding that belief, or any religious belief for that matter.
And Hiram, is the smoking gun in this case, so to speak, the statement made to the Dallas Morning News, saying that this would not, by the Fox representative, saying this would not fly in human resources?
Well, I will say that is a big smoking gun, and look, even if they wanted to fire him for an illegal purpose, even if they wanted to engage in religious discrimination against him, they could have just said, we're firing Craig for unnamed reasons or whatever. But if they go out affirmatively putting these statements out in the press that it was because of his religious belief, it was because of what he believed, his biblical worldview about marriage in this particular case. Saying those types of things, trying to smear him in public, that's the dangerous thing. That's the thing that is just really so appalling about what Fox did here.
We're talking to Craig James, former NFL running back and former sports analyst and sportscaster, most recently on Fox Sports, and his attorney Hiram Sasser from Liberty Institute here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Craig, let me ask you this. You've watched over the years the way Tim Tebow's been treated. What is it about Christian beliefs, openly religious Christian men, especially, evangelical types or white Christian men? Because, I see, Muhammad Ali used to say, Allah, every time he gave an interview, thanked Allah. Never any criticism about that. Of course, that was way before any connection to any kind of Al-Qaeda or anything like that. And criticism about that. Of course, that was way before any connection to any kind of Al-Qaeda or anything like that. And I want to thank God. Without God, I wouldn't be here. Many Hispanic ball players cross themselves either when they come to the plate or they cross themselves after they hit a home run, or if a football, after they score a touchdown, cross themselves after they hit a home run, and or if a football, after they score a touchdown, people are given passes.
Well, in my particular, and I like Tim. I'm a fan. I'm a friend of his. I respect him for his positions. I've been in broadcasting for over 20 years. Never had a problem at all. I've always been a believer. People who work with me know what I believe in, my Lord and Savior. But I don't run it down their throat. They know who I am and what I stand for.
Right.
I played as a football player for many years with black guys, white guys, brown guys, all kinds of different backgrounds. Never had an issue with those guys. Matter of fact, they voted me a captain of the teams. So all of a sudden, here I am. I have this belief. It comes out, and it's being held against me. And I think, Steve, this is where we are, to answer your question. We're at a fork in the road in America. It's been going on for a while, but now employers are becoming emboldened to go out and challenge those who have a faith that's going to perhaps bring them heat and pressure from the other side. It's a one-way street. It's okay for someone else to say something and get away with it, but if you have a faith right now like I have, you can't hold that and not be punished for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it happened to be your comments on gay marriage. Maybe on another day they would have come up with a statement you made at one point during the campaign that you were running for Senate on abortion. It might not have liked that was something you might have said about that. It might not have flown in human resources in Fox in their opinion. So it opens up a whole Pandora's box, does it not, Hiram?
Yeah, it certainly does. And here's I was talking to a reporter, and they said, well, is it really a problem with, people of faith and religious liberty being challenged in the workplace? And I said, well, why don't you just do an experiment for me? Why don't you just put on your Twitter or Facebook that you believe in the biblical definition of marriage, and let's put the over under on you getting terminated at about 30 minutes. If you don't think there's a problem in corporate America today, you just put that on Twitter, you put that on Facebook, and you see what happens when you go see the boss tomorrow.
All right, so what's the legal procedure here? What are you doing? Where are we? And what are you hoping to gain?
Well, sure. Well, we have a hearing on November 5th in order to so that we can try to take some depositions and get a hold of some key documents from Fox Sports so we can get to the bottom of investigating these claims. But we have laws in this country. It's still a country we can get to the bottom of investigating these claims. But we have laws in this country. It's still a country protecting religious expression and religious activities and religious statements that are made that you cannot be discriminated by your employer if you're a person of faith and you happen to say something like Craig did. You can't be fired for that in this country.
Right.
And it's been that way since 1964. Well, these laws are still on the books, and they have to be enforced. They have to be vigorously enforced. I mean, it may be in vogue to try to take down Craig James over this over his biblical beliefs on this particular issue, marriage. But the bottom line is it's still a nation of laws, and people are held accountable.
Craig, what's been the reaction from colleagues, from fans, from friends? You getting a lot of support?
Oh, absolutely. Tons of support. And matter of fact, it's interesting how many people come up to me on the streets now and are saying how they're afraid to have their opinions, biblical opinions and beliefs out there because of what their employers might do. And then I'm also finding out, and this is the thing that's putting fuel in my fire, I'm finding that there are those who don't want to get engaged because they're afraid of the blowback that they'll get or that their clients will give them for representing someone who has a belief like this. Totally unacceptable, man. This is the United States of America. Yeah. I'm going to blow this horn, and we are going to fight to preserve what the United States Constitution provides for us.
And the media, how's the media coverage been? Hard to get, have you gotten like on the morning shows, the Today Show, or let me guess, no?
Hey, very interesting, isn't it? No, you're absolutely right in your answer, but we are getting a lot of conservative and Christian support, and we're not going away. Fox is going to have to admit, own up, and be responsible for their actions. The chilling effect, if we were to let this just be swept under the rug, is unacceptable. It would be too grave, the consequences for those down the road. It's time for us to stand up and be heard.
Guys, I remember, I think it was after their first Super Bowl win, the New York Giants, several of them did a video. You could probably Google this and find it on a pro-life video. Mark Bavaro, Phil Simms, many of them were in it. And I remember playing it, and I wonder how something like that would fly today. If a Super Bowl winning team or an NBA championship team either did a marriage video, traditional marriage video, or a pro-life video, I wonder what Bob Costas, who's now the social arbiter, I guess, of the NFL and our society, would say about that.
No, I tell you what, the ownership would not be friendly to having that type of video produced today coming from a locker room, be afraid again because of the pushback, the blowback, the results that they would get from the other side of the street.
All right, well, let me ask you, Craig, real quick, surprises this NFL season? A great comeback. The last-second victory by Brady and company on Sunday, that was a thriller.
Oh, man, I tell you, I thought I was going to have to come back with my 52-year-old body and start playing wide receiver. But that was great. You know, the Giants, where they are right now, is really amazing. But it just shows you how delicate it is in the NFL and winning, man. It's a long road to the penthouse and a short one to the outhouse.
What do you think? You feel for Coughlin and Manning? I mean, Manning, you know, athletes have ups and downs, but I mean, if it continues, does Coughlin get bounced in midseason?
Well, I don't know if it's midseason. The guy knows football. He's won. He knows how to do it. Sometimes, though, the old pep talk just stops pepping, and players have to be held responsible for their performance as well. They're good players in that locker room. But once you go south and everybody starts thinking about packing the car for the offseason, it's really hard to be competitive.
Yeah. All right. Listen, Craig and here, Hiram, please keep in touch with us and let us know, and we'll follow this case. And good luck.
Thank you, Steve, so much for having us.
All right, my pleasure. All right, there you go. Former NFL player for the running back for the New England Patriots, Craig James, and also sportscaster, most recently at Fox Sports, and says that he was fired for what he said 14 months prior while he was running for a Senate seat, and talking about his religious beliefs as they pertain to marriage, traditional marriage, and his attorney, Hiram Sasser from Liberty Institute. You know, it's kind of chilling. Again, it's kind of his word against Fox's, except for the fact that a Fox official did make a statement to the Dallas Morning News saying that when they saw that statement or became aware of that statement from 14 months prior, they realized it wasn't going to fly at H&R or HR, which is human resources. So that, like I described it, and it was affirmed as that description was affirmed by the attorney, that's a smoking gun. That's trouble, I think, as a person who is not a lawyer but likes to play and make believe in his mind that sometimes he's a lawyer. All right, folks, you want to weigh in on this case or what we've talked about with Steve Lonigan and Cory Booker? 877-NEWSMAX. 877-NEWSMAX, the brand new number. I am so psyched for that number right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Wow, you look great. Thanks. I lost some weight. What's your secret weapon? Actually, I do in fact have one. Really?
If you're looking for help in your weight loss efforts, remember this name, Metabio. It just may be the edge you've been looking for. Metabio is the nutritional weight loss breakthrough power-packed with 5 high-quality ingredients. Metabio supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. It helps maintain your optimal weight and wellness when used as part of a healthy lifestyle. Now you can receive a 30-day supply of Metabio. Simply cover a Visit themetabio.com/offer for complete details. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Practical Guide to Healthy Weight Management. Learn how you can try Metabio for 30 days at themetabio.com/offer. That's the metabio.com/offer. Hurry, only while supplies last. /offer.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck come down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy.
Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
When you were younger, you probably never considered your heart health. But cardiologist Dr. Chauncey Crandall knows from experience that taking steps to care for your heart becomes more crucial as the decades pass, if you want to keep this vital organ ticking smoothly for years to come. That's why Dr. Crandall recently developed Cardio Advanced, a nutritional supplement containing 12 special ingredients, all selected to help improve and maintain your heart health and normal cholesterol levels. The flagship of this exclusive formula, esterified plant sterols, may help lower your risk of heart disease when taken as part of a diet low in cholesterol and fat. And great news. Now, you have the opportunity to try a 30-day supply of Cardio Advanced. Simply cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act right now, you'll also receive a free doctor's guide to a healthy heart as a special bonus. Please visit cardioadvanced.com/radio for complete details on claiming your 30-day bottle of Cardio Advanced and free report. That's cardioadvanced.com/radio. Life is too precious to ignore your heart health. Visit cardioadvanced.com/radio now while supplies last.
Have you hit a brick wall with your weight loss? Does your weight management weight loss breakthrough designed to help you reach your goal weight as part of your diet and exercise program? Component is formulated to help you reach your goals and maintain your optimal weight and wellness. It supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. Now, learn how you can try a 30-day supply of Metabio. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetabio.com/special. Act now and also receive instant access to our downloadable special report, a practical guide to healthy weight management. Try it now at themetabio.com/special. That's the METABI. Metabio.com/special.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll free at 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here, 77 Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here,
629. So it's 877 Newsmax, which is 639-7629. There you go. Love to hear from you folks. Okay, lots of other news around. By the way, in the next hour, Susan Ferrecchio, Chief Congressional Correspondent, Washington Examiner, joins us. And David Swerdlick, should say, from Root.com, will join us to discuss why he believes Ben Carson's comments about Obamacare will join us to discuss why he believes Ben Carson's comments about Obamacare is the worst thing since slavery to happen to America. So we'll debate that. Don't go away. All right. So the ex-mayor of San Diego, Democrat. Don't go away. All right. So the ex-mayor of San Diego, Democrat San Diego Mayor Bob Filner, pleaded guilty today to felony false imprisonment and 2 misdemeanor counts of battery involving 3 women. And all this just weeks after he left office, under the allegations and the storm of sexual harassment charges. The plea came in California State Superior Court. Prosecutors did not elaborate on the details of the allegations to which Filner pleaded guilty. The victims were identified only as Jane Does. D's and Does. Right there. D's and Does. Get it? Ha-ha. Ba-dum-bum. Psh. Was also an extreme abuse of power, according to the Attorney General. In a statement, the prosecution is about an extreme abuse of power, according to the Attorney General. In a statement, the prosecution is about years and home confinement for 3 months. He will be banned from public office, prohibited from voting while on probation, and forced to surrender part of his pension. He'll also have to undergo treatment under the threat of jail time. Fines and other fees will be determined at a sentencing hearing set for December 9th. He's 71 years old. He resigned in late August. Now, you know, Democrat. Does it even say Democrat in this story? This is a mail.com. Let's see. The Daily Mail. Democrat. No, I didn't read the word Democrat. I only said it in my own interpretation. Democrat? Do I see Democrat? No, I didn't read the word Democrat. I only said it in my own interpretation. Democrat? Do I see Democrat? Story that you feel sad for the guy. You know, terrible what he did, and he should be punished. But it's a sad story that a 70-year-old guy would do all these kinds of things, and he should be punished. But it's a sad story that a 70-year-old guy would do all these kinds of things. As the 50th anniversary of the death of JFK fast approaches, polling released today as part of a new book about Kennedy's legacy shows that he remains one of the most highly polling released today as part of a new book about Kennedy's legacy shows that he remains one of the most highly rated in this poll. But asked to rate all the presidents from 1950 to 2000 on a scale of 0 to 10, Kennedy's highest. On a scale of 0 to 10, Kennedy's highest. None of the other presidents scored above a 5. Poor Jimmy Carter. Anyway, so there you go. But if they could bring back one president, former president, dead or alive, to serve again, 54%. 21 chose Clinton. Interesting, isn't it? Americans do have a brain. If I only had a brain. All right, we're coming back. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obamacare, President Obama's massive healthcare law, is taking effect this year. With over 15,000 pages of regulations, few even know what it means. Now, the Obamacare Survival Guide by Nick Tate gives you the shocking facts about this law. It's a step-by-step guide on how you can protect yourself. Already a New York Times bestseller, every American needs to get the Obamacare Survival Guide and find out about the new taxes, hidden fees, fines, Medicare changes, business rules, and why doctor shortages are likely. Donald Trump says the Obamacare Survival Guide is a must-read for anyone worried about getting good health care for themselves or their employees. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's at bookstores, or get our special offer at Obamacare311.com and you'll save $15. Go now to Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare.
Do you suffer from joint discomfort? Contrary to what the experts may say, achy joints do not have to be a normal part of aging. Holistic doctor David Brownstein challenged conventional thinking to focus on natural solutions for joint health. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Limbex, the premium nutritional supplement specifically formulated to support healthy joints and connective tissue. It's a new joint breakthrough formula containing 11 hand-picked nutrients. Learn more at limbexjoint.com/special and take the 30-day Healthy Joint Challenge. That's a 30-day supply of the Limbex Joint Supplement. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, a doctor's guide to happy, healthy joints at any age. You can do something about joint discomfort and flexibility. Learn how you can try it for 30 days at limbexjoint.com/special. That's LIMBEX joint.com/special. limbexjoint.com/special.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. Congress has just 2 days to reach a deal or else risk default. and that's already started to rattle the economy. And today, just a few moments after the negotiation process looked like it was moving forward, House Republicans made some additional demands and balked at the Senate's latest proposal. That Senate deal would reopen the government immediately and fund the government through January 15th. It would also raise the nation's debt ceiling through mid-February. And it calls for negotiators to find ways to cut the deficit and includes a provision to verify the incomes of some people applying for insurance subsidies under the new health care law. But that House plan calls for suspending a tax on medical devices for the first 2 years and eliminates a health care law exemption for members of Congress and the president's cabinet.
We believe there should be no special treatment under the law, and there should be fairness for all Americans, those elected and those unelected.
Meanwhile, Democratic leaders, including Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi, have blasted the latest GOP proposal, calling it an attack on bipartisanship and a sure sign that House Speaker John Boehner does not have the support of Tea Party Republicans to pass the Senate's plan. And in New York, terror suspect Abu Anas al-Libi appears before a judge today. For several days, U.S. intelligence officials have questioned him at sea about his alleged connection to al-Qaeda. It's unclear what, if any, information he will provide in court because now that he is in the U.S. justice system, he has the right to remain silent. He has been under indictment for more than a decade on charges that he helped plan the 1998 bombings of 2 U.S. embassies in Africa that killed more than 220 people. Sources say al-Libi was part of Osama bin Laden's inner circle in the mid-1990s and also authored al-Qaeda's training manual. And in Geneva, Iranian negotiators met with officials from the U.S. and other nations today to talk nuclear weapons. No deal is expected from these initial talks, but Iranian officials did say they had a good first meeting and they are interested in building trust with all of the interested parties. Iran's foreign minister also told reporters that his country is, quote, very serious about the proposal to end the nation's nuclear military program. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu urged foreign leaders, not to roll back economic sanctions too soon.
This opportunity can only be realized if the international community continues to place pressure on Iran.
And at least 90 people are dead following a powerful earthquake in the Philippines. The tremor shook 2 densely populated islands that are also popular with tourists. The 7.2 magnitude tremor hit just before 8 o'clock in the morning, killing dozens. Homes, offices, and stores crumbled, and Cebu City's hospital had to be evacuated, with patients spilling out into the streets. And coming up next on our Newsmax Now update, a Newsmax exclusive with the Reverend Franklin Graham. Plus, it's almost that time of year. Halloween is right around the corner, so who's got the biggest pumpkin in the country? And how much does it weigh? Next.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The Silver Polar Bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wieder, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
And welcome back. Growers from around the country converged on Half Moon Bay near San Francisco for arguably the country's most famous pumpkin weigh-off. The heaviest pumpkin came in at 1,985 pounds, about 50 pounds short of a world record. The grower also won a prize of nearly $12,000. Not a bad prize there. Well, at this point, maybe we should all say a prayer for members of Congress. At least that was the advice of leading evangelical, the Reverend Franklin Graham, during an exclusive interview with Newsmax TV.
Our country is in a mess, no question. It seems like we're in just an ever-tightening spiral downward. And it doesn't seem as anybody is listening to what is happening. We as a nation, we have turned our back on God.
And of course, remember, for more exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax TV. I'm John Bachman. This has been your Newsmax Now update for October 15th. Take care.
3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. In just a few minutes, we'll be joined by David Swerdlick from theroot.com, and we're going to discuss, among other things, the remarks made by Ben Carson, which compared Obamacare to slavery, and we will have that debate. But I want to give you some information on Obamacare, because it keeps coming in. I have a whole drawer or two dedicated to Obamacare disaster stories. You still can't sign up. They're still not telling us how many people have actually signed up for Obamacare. But here, I want you to listen to Robert Gibbs, former press secretary for Barack Obama. And I want you to listen to what Robert Gibbs had to say about this whole Obamacare fiasco, the computer glitches, the signing up, the whole thing. Cut 34.
This is excruciatingly embarrassing for the White House and for the Department of Health and Human Services. This was bungled badly. This is not a server problem, right? Like just too many people came to the website. This is a website architecture problem. I think it is, again, it's excruciatingly embarrassing. Boy, if they don't get these glitches figured out fast, people aren't going to come back for visits 15 through 18. And I will say this, I hope they're working day and night to get this done. And when they get it fixed, I hope they fire some people that were in charge of sure that this thing was supposed to work. We knew there were going to be some glitches, right? But these are glitches that go, quite frankly, way beyond the pale of what should be expected.
They are not going to fire people. Believe me. They didn't fire anybody over the IRS or over Benghazi. Kathleen Sebelius, the president, just expressed confidence in her. Who are they going to fire? Who are they going to fire? Now, let me tell you about some of these things. Premiums for Obamacare. The premiums. Okay. What about the policy? And what about the deductible within the policy? We're all familiar with deductibles. You have an insurance policy, and, you know, your deductible varies based on policy, but you could have up to a $2,500 deductible. Well, some of the Obamacare policies go even higher than that. So you're paying your premium, plus you're paying the first X amount of dollars for your doctor visits. Don't be bamboozled. Don't be okey-doked. All right? When Barbara Retkowski went to a Cape Coral, Florida health clinic in August to treat a blood condition, she thought the center would bill her insurance company, but it demanded payment up front. Early in the year, another clinic insisted she pay her entire remaining insurance deductible for the year, more than $1,000 before the doctor would even see her. She said she was surprised and frustrated. She's a 59-year-old retiree. I had to pull money out of my savings. The practice of upfront payment for non-emergency care has been spreading in the U.S. as deductibles rise. Now, the advent of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act is likely to accelerate that trend. Many of the plans offered through the law's insurance exchanges have low initial premiums to attract customers while carrying significant deductibles and other out-of-pocket costs. The second lowest tier of Obamacare plans in California, for example, has a $2,000 annual deductible. Hospitals say they need to charge patients prior to treatment because Americans are increasingly on the hook for more of their own medical costs. Thank you, President Obama. I'm sorry. Thank you, Dr. Obama. You're the best. Employers are following suit, according to this Bloomberg.com article. As they push workers to share more financial responsibility for health care, the percentage of insured workers with a deductible of $1,000 or more for single coverage jumped to 34% in 2012 from 12% in 2007. Thank you, Dr. Obama. This is, and this is a study by the Kaiser Family Foundation and the Health Research and Educational Trust. Overall, the number of people with high deductible plans rose to 15.5 million in 2013 from 1 million in 2005. Thanks again, Dr. Obama. It's unreal. Really is unreal. You want more? I'll give you more. This is CNSnews.com. Bureaucracies in the Obama administration have thus far published approximately 11 bureaucracies in the Obama administration have thus far published approximately 11 regulations. What does that mean? In the entire Obamacare law, which is a stack of, real high stack, there are only 381,000 words. But the words of the regulations, the interpretations of the regulations, etc., 11,588,000 words. This is so easy, right? Thank you, Dr. Obama. Unbelievable. Got more? Aetna. You've heard of Aetna? One of the largest insurance companies in the world? Well, the CEO has blasted Obamacare's technical debacle. Aetna CEO gave a harshly critical review of the federal government's Obamacare marketplace, saying, "There's so much wrong, you just don't know what's broken until you get a lot more of it fixed." Asked on CNBC's Squawk Box if he knew that the rollout of healthcare.gov would be problematic, CEO Mark Bertoloni said his giant company's role as an alpha tester for the system gave it a sense of how many problems the health insurance marketplace faced on the eve of its launch. "We were pretty nervous as we got further along," he said. "As they started missing deadlines, we were pretty We were pretty nervous as we got further along," he said. "As they started missing deadlines, we were pretty..." What else do we have here? Security on the Obamacare website. If you're lucky enough to get through and lucky enough to get one of those cheap plans with a high deductible that you don't know about, in the 2 weeks since the Affordable Care Act site healthcare.gov went live, most complaints have centered on long wait times with sites initially overloaded, blah, 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 blah. But potentially far more serious are questions emerging about cybersecurity. Experts have said that hackers could spoof the website with a lookalike website to collect personal information, or criminals can use an automated program to try repeatedly to enter the site, even if it didn't get a login correct. Thank you, Dr. Obama. Just insane. Just insane. It's a horror story here. This would make some movie, baby. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without a parent. And patients over 65 shouldn't be admitted in without a caretaker. Thanks again, Dr. Obama, on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV, and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now, Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting.
Who is LigNet?
LigNet staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff.
What is LigNet's mission?
Every day our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events.
What are the benefits of joining LigNet?
There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com/radio.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
And I have to tell you, Obamacare is really, I think, the worst thing that has happened in this nation since slavery. And it is, in a way, it is slavery, in a way, because it is making all of us subservient.
All right, folks, there you go. Ben Carson speaking, I guess, late last week and making a very controversial remark. The left is up in arms right now is our guest. Glad to welcome him into the show, David Swerdlick from TheRoot.com. Hey, David, how are you?
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks for being flexible with the time. All right, so you wrote a piece, and you were one of those taking exception to what Ben Carson had to say. Why so?
Well, I think it's really two things about Dr. Carson's statement. He's obviously a very smart guy. He's a neurosurgeon. He's a philanthropist, an author. But, if he wants people to take him seriously now that he's doing this sort of second act in politics, then he ought to make serious statements. And saying that Obamacare is the worst thing in the nation since slavery is not a serious statement. You know, it's over the top. It disregards a ton of American history in between slavery and now. And Steve, you know, I mean, it just sounds like he's just trying to grab headlines, which if that's all he's trying to do is fine. But you know, it doesn't reflect well on him in terms of whatever he does with his career.
Well, how does sort of like the president saying that the Republicans are hostage takers, have a gun to the head of the American public, are demanding ransom, sort of like Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid saying that they're arsonists and anarchists, and other people calling them jihadists. This is Republican jihad. Same exact thing?
No, it's not the exact thing. I don't agree, by the way, with the president or any other Democrats using the gun imagery, the gun to the head imagery. You know, to me, that's, you know, Democrats have accused Republicans of that in the past, so Democrats shouldn't do it either. I also think calling people jihadists is just also completely skews the whole discussion. But when you're talking about Dr. Carson, again, a respected guy, you know, a famous brain surgeon, not just a brain surgeon, coming out and saying, "Oh, this is the worst thing in the history in our country since slavery." I mean, first of all, there have been so many things. There's been segregation. There's been the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. I mean, you know, the list goes on and on. The idea that between then and now, there's been nothing that you know imposes on people's freedom, and then all of a sudden this is the comparison point. It just makes him. You know, it just makes him look like he's just out there for the headlines. And by the way, you know, if Republicans are serious, as they've professed, in bringing particularly people of color more into the Republican and conservative movements, this is the exact opposite of the way to do that.
Why would that be? First of all, Ben Carson has an opinion. And if that's his opinion, and I got to tell you, I'm not going to agree with his opinion or not, because you make valid points. I wouldn't put the internment of Japanese Americans in that category. But there have been a lot of you know, bad things, segregation and what African Americans went through in this country, you know, before the Civil Rights Act. But you know, he is black. He's well aware of that, and he knows this bill inside out. And I know something about this bill too. And if this bill leads to what many of us fear this bill will lead to, as it has in Canada, as it has in Great Britain, and it's the same principle, not being able to see a doctor, waiting months and months to see a specialist, death panels that decide based on a formula whether or not an 80-year-old man or a 70-year-old man should get the operation or be given a sugar pill. I would say that that's right up there. That's a complete change in our culture, because right now we value our parents and our grandparents and our disabled children. And we do anything and everything we can to keep them alive just one more day. And now we're talking about something that's going to come between. The government's going to step in and is going to dictate. As Obama said to that woman at a town hall before when he was running the first time, about a 100-year-old mother. She's full of life. And he said, well, you know, we can't take an individual circumstance into consideration because the cost of keeping people alive in their later years is blah, blah, blah. This is a complete culture shift. So I don't think he's out of line when he compares it to something as significant as slavery.
Well, look, Steve, you know, two things. One, he has the freedom of speech, right? Dr. Carson has the freedom to say what he wants, express it how he feels. He has the platform, but then people also have the freedom of speech to criticize him and sort of come back and say, "Hey, whoa, this is out of bounds." You're
I'm not knocking you for criticizing him. Absolutely, yeah.
No, I'm saying that we all have the freedom of speech, so he can say what he wants. I'm just suggesting that, you know, if he wants to be taken seriously by the people he presumably wants to be taken seriously by, he might want to come up with a different way to raise his objection to Obamacare. But to your point, Steve, about Obamacare, I don't want to disappoint you. I'm not going to stand here now and actually be an Obamacare defender, right? I actually think there are going to be quite a few problems with the law moving forward, not just all this silly website stuff. But The problem is the comparison. The problem I'm talking about is the comparison to slavery. There are British people and Canadian people who don't like their health care system. I don't think
who die. No, not don't like, but who die. Who don't get to see a specialist and die.
I don't think most British and Canadian people would compare their health care system to slavery, number one. And what we've got here is, to the best I can tell, I'm more of a politics guy than a policy guy, but this is like a nationalization of Mitt Romney's Massachusetts.
No, well, the problem is I've spoken when Tom Daschle, who turned out to be too big a tax cheat to be Kathleen Sebelius, whereas Timmy Geithner was a small tax cheat, so he got to be the Treasury Secretary. Tom Daschle is the author of this whole thing, and it's based on the British plan. And he wrote a book about 3-4 years ago, right before it was passed, or right after it was passed. And he didn't know who I was, and he came on to plug the book, and I said, all right. I said, so an 85-year-old man needs a double bypass. What do you do? And he said, well, he said, I'm almost quoting verbatim. Well, you got to think of other alternatives. You give him a pill, or you put him in a hospice. I said, well, a pill won't work. That's not going to clean your arteries out. And a hospice is where you go to die. You want him to die? And he said, well, you said it. I didn't. I said, but you said hospice. So that's the mindset. And that is a completely different mindset than we have in this country right now. Do you agree with that?
I think it's a completely different mindset from the way you've described it, and then the way the proponents are describing it. Again, Steve, I am not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, Obamacare is going to be great for everybody. What I am going to say, though, is that it's on a different order than American slavery. Okay, that's number one. And number two is that, look, what I think makes people like Dr. Carson, who has written about this, and he actually has put some ideas out in writing better than what he says in his speeches. But when you've got people like Dr. Carson talking about this, one of the reasons that they're not convincing people who might otherwise be convinced is that they're putting this in such stark terms. Look, Republicans and conservatives, to my knowledge, have not put forth an alternative plan. Maybe they don't want to.
Well, they have. But listen, we're up. We got less than a minute. Yeah. So, David, I just want to get this in real quick. To me, there's really no difference between that and anarchists and arsonists and gun to the head and hostage taking and kidnappers. No difference at all. And they're both equally as guilty. If he's guilty, so are the Democrats and the president. Final word.
I'm going to survey my Canadian friends right now.
No. I'm saying that president with his incendiary language is just as guilty.
Again, gun to the head was one too far for me, but they're on different orders. Calling a policy passed by Congress 5 years ago on the order of slavery is an outlandish
All right.
statement.
Listen, David, I hope you'll come back. David Swerdlick from theroot.com. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. All right, folks. So we'll take our 877 Newsmax. When we come back, now they're calling it sabotage. We'll talk to Susan Ferrecchio, Chief Congressional Correspondent, Washington Examiner. The Democrats are at it again, folks. Steve Malzberg Show. Don't go away.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Okay, this will interest anyone with diabetes or prediabetes. And what I'm about to tell you is pretty controversial, so you'll definitely want to consult your doctor first. But if diabetes concerns you, there's a website that you need to see at 99reverse.com. At that website, they reveal what they call the one weird spice that's probably in your kitchen right now and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. Now, what they say is people who will follow this plan exactly as found at 99reverse.com have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's approval, of course. At 99reverse.com, you get 3 specific actions to take right now, today, to get your blood sugar under control in 4 weeks or less. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com and find out now. Check with your doctor, of course, because I'm not giving you medical advice here. But if you have diabetes or you're worried about your blood sugar, then I think the thing to do is to check out the website, and that is 99reverse.com.
Men, this is the time in your life when you have more freedom to travel, more time for leisure, including an active lifestyle, even renewed intimacy. The last thing you want is the hassle of an aging prostate. Frequent trips to the bathroom also keep you awake at night. But here's good news. Renowned physician Dr. David Brownstein believes that prostate concerns do not
have to be an inevitable part of aging. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Prostate Revive, the dietary supplement specifically formulated to help improve and sustain normal prostate function. Learn more about how you can receive a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit prostaterevive.com/special for complete details. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate, while supplies last. Try Prostate Revive for 30 days at prostaterevive.com/special. That's prostaterevive.com/special.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy.
Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg. Microphones hot.
All right. You never know what you're going to get. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. And joining us now is our friend Susan Ferrecchio, Chief Congressional Correspondent for the Washington Examiner. Hey, Susan, how are you?
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. Thanks for taking the time. As was the case last time we spoke, they just left the podium, the Democrats, that is, and Nancy Pelosi saying that the House is now, the House Republicans are sabotaging any kind of deal and any effort to reach an agreement. It appears that, from what I could gather from that little press briefing there, that all and they just came out of the White House, so all the president and the Democrats in the House will agree to is a clean debt ceiling and a clean government reopening. I mean, that sounds like that's all they want.
Well, that's what they want. I'm not sure if that's what they're going to get. I know that the House Republicans have put together a plan that they're going to take up potentially by tonight that would extend the debt ceiling to February and fund the government through December. And it would include an amendment that would eliminate the health care subsidies for congressional staffers and I believe White House employees as well under the new health care law. And it would also strike out one of the Democrats had been hoping to put in the bill, which would have exempted union members from the reinsurance tax under the health care law. So they've kind of reconfigured, the Republicans have reconfigured their plan from earlier this morning.
That tax,
a lot of the Obamacare stuff.
Right, that tax would come out. That union, the exemption for the tax for unions would come out, so they would have to pay it.
That's right.
Yeah.
But they would leave in the medical device tax, and they would leave in the amendment that would require people who seek health insurance subsidies must have their income verified. That's kind of interesting. I'm just thinking out loud here, but today I wonder if the Republican plan here is they know they're not going to win over their base, so they're going to back it down a little and try to pick up Democrats. I mean, what they want to do is they want to pass something in the House that at least Republicans tell me that the Senate can't say no to. I don't think they're really going to go for a bill that the Senate will just say no to. They want to send something that will put pressure on them. And Republicans in the Senate seem to be going along with this. They're siding with the House now to go first on it. And one lawmaker just came out of a leadership meeting and told us he thought they could vote by tonight on this plan I just told you about. But again, it hasn't gone to the Rules Committee yet. And that's a big deal. Once it goes to the Rules Committee, we get a real look at what this thing is. And it's the details can change just because there's just so much flux and disagreement. But I think what they decided, I know some of the conservatives went in there and asked for a shorter time frame on raising the debt limit.
All right, so the debt limit would be...
That was rejected.
Okay, so the bill as you see it, I just want to be clear, debt limit, debt ceiling to February, government reopen till December?
December 15th, and that would coincide with the deadline for the December 15th. Of course, now this is all sequester levels at $986 billion, but it coincides with the deadline that the House and the Senate would establish for coming up with a brand new long-term budget plan. Remember, they want to get together,
right.
They want to work out entitlement spending. This is the lure for Republicans. The Republicans say, we just want to get to the table and negotiate real spending reforms. That's what that December 15th is about. That makes forms a conference committee, gets the budget sides together, House Ways and Means, Senate Finance. They work out a deal that has tax reform, which Republicans like very much, entitlement reform that Republicans like very much, but don't forget, Democrats' main objective will be what? You know what? It will be restoring the sequester cuts. So they're both at odds about what the ultimate goal of this December 15th deadline on a budget deal would be. But I think both sides like the idea of sitting down and going after their separate objectives, and they are separate and different.
But let me also make so the medical device tax eliminating that or postponing that would be gone. Now the taking the subsidies away from congressional staffers, that would be in there.
Yes, staffers, congressmen.
Okay.
And I believe
White House employees.
White House.
Right. And the exemption, the union exemption, so they would not have to pay the tax, that would be gone, so they would have to pay the tax, correct?
That's right.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
the Republicans want everyone to be on a level playing field when it comes to health care law. They say,
Right.
okay, we're not going to repeal any part of this health care law. Let's make it so we are all under...
I just heard Klobuchar on CNN during the commercial break before I came on with you saying, you have these $25,000 a year employees, kids coming here, some of them fighting for adoption rights, and now you're going to take away their health care. So, I don't know. I don't know what Harry Reid. I could see Harry Reid not bringing anything to the floor for a vote. Now, when you say that Boehner, wants to get some Democrats involved too. Will Boehner bring up something? I mean, if push comes to shove, will Boehner bring up a bill that Tea Partiers won't go for, but he knows Democrats will, and they could pass it?
It depends what the ratio is, Steve. If it's not a bad ratio, he would do it. If it's a bad ratio, I don't think he would do it. One of my colleagues is telling me that Pelosi just said he's not going to get any Democrats, but I'm not sure she knows what's in this yet. You know what I mean? I'm not entirely sure that she knows what the latest is, because this plan has been changing all day long. It's like I said, as we even talk right now, it's in flux. The Rules Committee has not gavelled in yet. So it's going to be a couple hours until you even see that, and then they'll get to it tonight. So, it's really changing. Even what I described to you right now, it could change.
Right.
They need 218. Democrats aren't going to help. It does seem that way, even though I was thinking, well, geez, this could be moderate enough to pick up a couple of those. But I'm just trying to figure out how they're going to get the Republicans because, I think that they've disappointed a lot of conservatives by taking out all the Obamacare language.
I got to tell you, if I'm John Boehner, Here's what I do right now. And, well, no, I can't do it because then I'll lose my speakership. But here's what I would do. I would say, look, you know, this president is being – he's just not giving – he is willing. He's the first president ever to let – Americans suffer, to let the possibility of chaos ensue, to keep out an agreement that 67 or 77 senators already said they favor, and that's the medical tax device. Since we're dealing with a man who doesn't care about the American people, who doesn't care about, I mean, I would really go on and spell out the differences and spell out what Clinton did and spell out what Reagan did and spell out what Obama's willing to do nothing and just say, so here's the clean bill, and this is your president, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, they could say they won and we caved, but we caved for the good of America and for the American people. But this is, remember this when voting time comes, et cetera, because otherwise, I don't think Obama cares if we reach the default and go over that so-called cliff. I don't think he cares.
Well, I think that the Republicans told me this morning, a lot of them feel like, you know, they've got everyone, they're outnumbered by the Senate, the White House, and the media. And they also feel like the ball is in their court, time is running out, pressure is on, they need to be circumspect, they need to figure out what can give them leverage, what can pass, what can get them to 2014 with a House and a Senate, both in the Republican Party. And that is what the thinking is, even amongst the most conservative members. But that, I don't know if we're going to get that same answer out of Jim Jordan. I know Steve King of Iowa was saying, forget it. I know Joe Barton, I talked to at length last night, was saying, I don't like this.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any changes. I mean, the problem is they have a 17 vote margin. They could easily lose 17 on this. I actually am a little bit mystified. So I think what their idea is to tell Republicans, hey, you guys, the plan you hated is going to pass the Senate anyway. Here's one they can't say no to. It's one you'll hate even more, but if you'll just go along with it, it forces the Senate's hand.
Yeah, well,
are you following my logic, Steve? This is how it works up here.
I know. It's insane. And like you said, the whole thing, when we say goodbye, the whole thing could change. All right, listen, Susan, I appreciate it very much. We'll speak to you soon. Keep up the good work.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
All right, take care. Susan
Bye-bye.
Ferrecchio, ladies and gentlemen, Chief Congressional Correspondent, Washington Examiner. When we come back, we'll be joined once again, we were last week, by Republican from Kansas, Tim Yuleskamp, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Busy day, Newsmax.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Do you have trouble remembering things you've known for years? Do you want to maintain your mental edge, support your memory, focus, and attention? After extensive research, Dr. Russell Blaylock discovered 4 essential nutrients that help sustain optimal brain function. Dr. Russell Blaylock then personally formulated Crescio, the dietary supplement containing these 4 brain boosters that promote brain cognitive health, improve learning and retention. Crescio supports brain circulation and provides antioxidant protection. And now you can receive a 30-day supply of Crescio. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit Crescio.com/special. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, Nature's Brain Boosters, Essential Nutrients for Peak Mental Performance. Give your brain the healthy support it needs. Learn how you can receive your 30-day supply at Crescio.com/special. That's Crescio.com/special. Crescio.com/special.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect, with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book.
Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement.
You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system.
Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50, non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. We're hoping to hook up with Kansas Congressman Republican Tom Muleskamp and get his take on stand right now, what the House might agree on, and is Speaker Boehner's speakership in trouble? We got him? No. Oh, I heard him say. Oh, okay. So we're not going to be able to speak, but I heard him say. Oh, okay. So we're not going to be able to speak, but instantly, of course, it's Tim. And later on in the next hour, we're going to have Tom Hutchinson. So I just said hello to outside. So maybe I got Tom on the brain, you know. Anyway, speaking of the brain, or what's inside the brain, Ed Schultz on his MSNBC show made a remark, radio show, actually. He got a call from a caller. And the caller brought up the fact that Barack Obama has selectively enforced parts of laws, not enforced laws that are on the books as a matter of policy. You know, it's come out and said it. Come out and said we have the Defense of Marriage, voting intimidation laws, like the Black Panther at the polling booth in Philadelphia for the 2008 election. Welfare. Work aspect of welfare reform, immigration, who gets deported, who doesn't, just picks and chooses. So listen to this exchange between the caller and Ed Schultz. This is cut 28.
I need some help here, Ed. I got some of my Republican
All right, you know
buddies
what?
telling me that.
Let's hold it. You'll have to wait for that. Okay, this is the tease of all teases. We have the congressman, so we have to. Let's hold it. You'll have to wait for that. Okay, this is the tease of all teases. We have the congressman, so we have to let's welcome in Congressman Tim Yuleskamp. Welcome him back to the show, Republican from Kansas. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon.
How are you? Thanks for taking the time. I know it's hectic as could be where you are. All right. So where?
Afternoon.
How are you? Thanks for taking the time. I know it's hectic as could be where you are. All right. So where? And Nancy Pelosi said that you guys, the Republicans in the House, are looking to sabotage any deal. Here comes the rhetoric again. Where do you believe we are right now?
It's pretty interesting. Harry Reid continues to say he has the votes, but votes for anything right now. And after 2 weeks, the U.S. Senate has not cast one single vote on any plan to open up the government, deal with any provisions of Obamacare, including their own plan. And the president has no plan. I mean, the president has absolutely no circulated ideas. He is just sitting there saying no, no, no. And but we discussed that this morning in the Republican conference. And frankly, our leadership trying to basically give the president about everything he wanted. They don't have the votes for that. Thank goodness. So right now we have passed 16 bills to keep the doors of government open, and the president and Harry Reid have rejected all of those, and but we're still pushing back on Obamacare. So really mixed bag right now, and not a lot of action, just a lot of talk.
All right. Well, of course, as the deadline, ticks nearer, the so-called deadline, the so-called default deadline, which, of course, may or may not be accurate. But that aside, I've just been told by our congressional correspondent for the Washington Examiner, Susan Ferricchio, that what she has heard, and she did it with the caveat that it could change any second, but what she has heard is that the House bill looks like this: debt ceiling increase until February, a government reopen until December 15th, the medical device tax issue gone, but congressional staffers and some White House employees would lose their subsidies, and there'd be no exemption for a tax that union members had to pay. That exemption would be gone, and they would have to pay. Does that sound? And there'd be no exemption for a tax that union members had to pay. That exemption
moments ago, and that would include all those provisions. I'm not sure what the actual language says, but that's the summary of those. And but we do a little bit about Obamacare. But gosh darn it, I'm worried about continuing to let Obamacare sign up people between now and December 15th. The original proposal from our House leadership this morning was, well, let's go to next year so we can start the Medicaid payments to basically the blue states. And that was a bad idea, rejected by the conference. I'll have to digest what's going on here. But we have to continue to focus on the fact that the House leadership oftentimes, and certainly all the Senate, or most of the Senate and the President, they're status quo. They do not want to make any changes. They want a $700 billion deficit and continuing to implement Obamacare. That's completely unacceptable.
Well, Congressman, let me focus on the first part of what you said there, the House leadership. And this bill, would you be? I know you have to read it, but if everything is in it basically that I just said, and there's nothing more, nothing less, would that be acceptable to you? And part two. So let's say you guys pass that. Let's say, yeah, we'll bite the bullet. We're going to do it. And then Harry Reid says, no, clean. It's got to be clean. None of this stuff. Then what do you guys do? So part one and part two. Go ahead.
Great question. I am unable to say yet what's in there. One thing we did discuss in conference this morning is a pretty broad issue. We're sitting here talking about Obamacare subsidies for members of Congress. Let's do away with those. Let's put Kathleen Sebelius on the exchange. Heck, put the president on there too, and that makes sense. But we have this ongoing issue of 77 lawsuits about the religious liberty aspect. We begged our leadership this morning, put something in there. I have to look through and see if that's in there. I don't see that necessarily. That is something I don't think they can pass it without that. We'll look a little more closely on that.
All right, let me interrupt only for time constraints here, and I just want to get this answer out of you. I think it's very important.
Yes.
What does John Boehner do? If he sees, you guys pass this or don't, and it's sent to Harry Reid if it's passed, and he says no, Does John Boehner acquiesce as he puts something much less than you could ever vote for, much less than the conservative members of your party and caucus could ever vote for? Does he bring that to, because he's talked about the fault that it's unacceptable, it can't happen. Does he bring something to the floor that he knows could pass with Democrats and Republicans, even though it would tick off you guys and the conservatives? Does he do that, and would that put his speakership at risk?
I think that's probably what he would do. But the calculation this morning was that Harry Reid had the votes lined up. It's Harry Reid and the president and Pelosi against basically the House conservatives. Sometimes the leadership with us and sometimes not. But potentially that's where we end up. I think certainly you've got a Senate surrender caucus. You've got no help from John McCain and those folks over there. They're piling the heat on House conservatives. And, we're trying to grab something out of the fire before they fully implement Obamacare, and this is a small part of that. But if this goes down, I think our leadership fully expects to cave and surrender and declare a strategic retreat again and let Obamacare fully ramp up.
And what would that mean, in your opinion, or to you personally, for the leadership of John Boehner? Would it be in jeopardy?
Well, you're talking to a congressman that didn't support him this past January.
So you would know. So you might know how many people are dissatisfied. So that's probably why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, I don't know how others would react to that. Would they? I don't see him replacing the speaker. I mean, the power in the speakership and other leadership has to do with a lot of campaign finances for many of my colleagues. Sometimes they are not willing to challenge Washington because that's where they raise their money, and that's obviously as well why they're so worried about Secretary Lou's claim on the debt ceiling, because Wall Street told them to be worried, but as of now, that's an imaginary date that's kind of being moved back. But the push to get something done by Thursday, I think the pressure's coming out of those tires, and hopefully we can continue to put some pressure instead on the White House. Say, hey, negotiate, come to the table, Mr. President, and this is what this plan is designed to do, but until I sit down and pour through that and judge the Senate, it's hard to say what will happen. But nobody's job is in jeopardy, but my gosh, let's hope at a minimum Obamacare would have to cover who it's supposed to cover, which would include members of Congress and our staff. That's what the law says.
So you don't put it beyond Boehner when push comes to shove. If the White House and Reid don't budge to cave, quote unquote, but you don't think that would affect his speakership?
I don't think so, because a lot of folks again are unwilling to challenge the status quo, especially if it's their own establishment. But a lot of folks stood up in Williamsburg and threatened they do exactly that.
Would anybody challenge him, though? I mean, would you challenge him?
I certainly wouldn't be running for anything. That's unusual. I mean, but I'll just say the class of '94 seems to have had a lot more guts and gusto than the class of 2010, because they were willing to take down a Speaker Gingrich. But I don't see that happen anytime soon in today's Congress.
Congressman, thank you for taking the time, for being so forthcoming, and for coming back, and we'll speak to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Congressman Tim Uleskamp, ladies and gentlemen. Republican from the great state of Kansas. I'm with him. I think the Congress will cave. That's why I could tell Boehner exactly what he should say after he caves. Not to keep a speakership, he's going to keep that, but to try to turn this into, we did it for the American people, and take the offensive. But I don't know that they're smart enough to do that. All right, we're coming back. Steve Malzberg, busy day on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know $152,000 to your Social Security payouts? For example, did you know $1,000 to your monthly payouts? And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54, with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some, once a Democrat, then a Republican, a champion of smaller government whose own government grew, a fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what a leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th birthday commemorative edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax magazine every month.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll-free at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has an defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Wow, you look great. Thanks. I've lost some weight. What's your secret weapon? Actually, I do in fact have one. Really?
If you're looking for help in your weight loss efforts, remember this name, Metavio. It just may be the edge you've been looking for. Metavio is the nutritional weight loss breakthrough power-packed with 5 high-quality ingredients. Metavio supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. It helps maintain your optimal weight and wellness when used as part of a healthy lifestyle. Now you can receive a 30-day supply of Metavio. Simply cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetavio.com/offer for complete details. pills. Act now and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Practical Guide to Healthy Weight Management. Learn how you can try Metabio for 30 days at themetabio.com/offer. That's the metabio.com/offer. Hurry, only while supplies last at themetabio.com/offer.
And welcome back. Growers from around the country converged on Half Moon Bay near San Francisco for arguably the country's most famous pumpkin weigh-off. The heaviest pumpkin came in at 1,985 pounds, about 50 pounds short of a world record. The grower also won a prize of nearly $12,000. Not a bad prize there. Well, at this point, maybe we should all say a prayer for members of Congress. At least that was the advice of leading evangelical, the Reverend Franklin Graham, during an exclusive interview with Newsmax TV.
Our country is in a mess, no question. It seems like we're in just an ever-tightening spiral downward. And it doesn't seem as anybody is listening to what is happening. We as a nation, we have turned our back on God.
And of course, remember, for more exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax TV. I'm John Bachman. This has been your Newsmax Now update for October 15th. Take care.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
My candidacy to be New Jersey's next United States Senator.
The reality is I lived in a very tough neighborhood. I moved into the sector of our city with the most shootings.
It ain't like he's here, because he ain't never here. Corey is never here.
Where does Booker live?
Well, I know he don't live on Hawthorne, because when I did the 2010 census and I knocked on the door and asked, introduce myself as the census taker, I was told by the officers that that was a police station. He can't possibly live in a police station.
All right, folks, welcome back to the third hour of the Steve Malzberg Show. That is a piece of sound that has been running, and it's been running on the internet, and it's a report that was done by a video journalist who went around to Newark by the address where Cory Booker is supposed to live, and his neighbors, as you just heard, said he doesn't live here. Joining us now is our friend, Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, who we had on just, I'm trying to think, not too long ago, founder of the Jewish Values Network and a Republican, former congressional candidate, who is in support of Cory Booker, the Democratic mayor of Newark, in tomorrow's special election. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
All right, so why would a Republican who ran for a Republican seat in New Jersey just not too long ago, last election, be a supporter of a Democratic mayor of Newark as opposed to the Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate seat?
Well, how else do I get on your show? Did you have me on when I was a congressional candidate running as a Republican? Now I'm on.
I don't think I had a show at that point, but go ahead.
If you had a brother running for elected office, you would support him. Cory is more than a friend. He's like a brother to me. As you well know, he and I have been close for 21 years. I was his rabbi at Oxford University. He was my student president, even though we were an Orthodox Jewish organization, perhaps the first ever African-American Christian non-Jewish president of a major Jewish organization.
I wanted to point out when you said
together.
you were his rabbi, he's not Jewish.
True.
Yeah. don't
have to be Jewish to have a rabbi.
I wanted to point that out. Yeah, absolutely.
I ought to be your rabbi too.
Yeah, and I am
and you
Jewish.
are Jewish.
Yes, and I've had Shabbat dinner at your lovely home with your wonderful family and in the presence of Cory Booker. This was before he was mayor of Newark.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that before he was
mayor? I
there?
believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cory's a regular at our Friday night Shabbat dinners. He's a great lover of the Jewish people, great lover of Israel. He's been there 3 times. His father just passed away.
Yeah,
and
I know.
One of his father's last
Terrible,
wishes was to see Israel, so they went there when his father was quite ill. But I'm supporting Cory because I love him and he's my very dear friend. I know his character and I know what a special person he is. There are some things that transcend politics. I think family, friendship, these are things that do transcend politics. And we're a very partisan country, and I don't agree with all the partisanship. I do believe that we have to find solutions when it comes to working together. But that doesn't mean that I don't have a Republican identity. I don't have to agree with Cory on all his policies to believe that he's the best candidate, based on my very personal, intimate knowledge of him for more than 2 decades.
Right, so let me ask you about some of the things that have come up, not from Steve Lonigan, but as you just saw this little report here, this is a photojournalist. There was also a one done where residents of Newark said that we're dying in the streets and crime is, and he's in California. So, but first, let me ask you something was brought up by the moderator in the second debate last week.
I was there, yeah.
Okay, and that is making things up. This guy at Newark was shot, and Cory Booker said he died in my arms, and the moderator said he died in the hospital. Then there was another thing, this T-Bone character, which Booker once admitted was like a composite or a made-up character, and in the debate he said no, he's not made up. I mean, all this, as Lonigan said, in my view, calls character into question. Why would you make things up?
And I know Cory far better than Steve Lonigan could ever know him, because I've known him for 21 years. We've studied thousands of hours of Torah together. He's been to my house countless times.
Fair enough.
Before my daughter got married 2 years ago, Cory called me and said, please choose a date when I'm not going to be in the, when I don't have a city obligation, because I can't, your kids are like my kids. I know his character extremely well. Cory is an honest, truthful person. To the extent that he's been called out on certain things, I don't know the particulars of those details because I wasn't there, but I do know countless other stories in Newark that I've witnessed myself. I visit Cory in his office as mayor all the time. There he is mentoring these children who are underprivileged. There are no cameras on him when he does that. Kids who come from very troubled background, and he's trying to be a big brother to them and trying to guide them and inspire them. I'm with him in his Suburban while he travels around Newark, and he pops out of the car and he's constantly speaking to people and really trying to lift them up, not just through his policies and his work as mayor, but as an individual, because Cory is a very inspiring person. He always has been. I think that's the reason he has a national profile.
Okay, what about the latest controversy, which I heard him asked directly about it. I heard him asked yesterday on News Radio 88, where do you live? Never said where he lived. He said, I'm my Tea Party opponent, blah, 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 blah. I could play 5 more bites with 5 more people from Newark, quote-unquote neighbors of Cory Booker, that say, we never see him, haven't seen him in 3 years, he doesn't live here, they knocked at the door, there were police officers in there, but no Cory Booker. And also, he filed for the Senate with a P.O. box on his application, not an address. Have you ever been to that location in Newark where Cory Booker lives?
I have visited Cory countless times in Newark, usually at his office, because I think in fairness to me, because we're very good friends, he knows I'm a father of 9 children, and he always comes to our home. Thank God we only live 15 minutes apart. As you said, you saw him at my house Friday night Shabbat dinner. But I have visited him countless times in Newark, and I see him there all the time, constantly.
But at his
always
home?
On the streets. Well, as I said, he visits me at my home.
Okay, so you've never been, in fairness, you've never been in his home in Newark. Is that true?
In fairness, he lived at Brick Towers for so long, and that wasn't the first place that I was going in the evenings when I have to read my kids' bedtime stories and have dinner with my kids. But to say that Cory is not intimately involved in every aspect of his city is to belie thousands and thousands of news stories that have him in the city constantly working on behalf of the residents. I find this one of the most scurrilous charges. Look, if people are opposed to Cory's policies, and even I as a Republican have take issue with some of his policies, I understand that completely, and that's what election should be about. But notice that this kind of lacks a little bit of substance. You can look at Cory's record in Newark, you can question it, you can challenge it. I think he's done an amazing job given the challenges. This is one of the most difficult cities in the United States. It's a very tough city. The residents know it, the mayor knows it, the city council council knows it. And Corey went there because of the challenge. Now, he was a Rhodes Scholar. He had limitless opportunities when he graduated from Oxford, where we were together, and when he went to Yale. But he decided to go to Newark, New Jersey. Not a lot of people would have made that decision. And here, instead of him getting praised for it, he gets condemned for it.
Well, again, and we're talking to Shmuley Boteach, Rabbi Shmuley, who, of course, author, best-selling author, many books. He's got another one coming out in December. We'll have him back for that. What's the name of that one going to be?
Kosher Lust, baby.
Kosher Lust. It's always kosher stuff. And also Michael Jackson, I wouldn't say mentor, but certainly confidant.
As a rabbi. Like I said, you don't have to be Jewish to be a rabbi.
Okay.
Look, I took Michael Jackson to Newark, where Michael, Corey, and I gave out books to low-income families to inspire parents to read their children bedtime stories. But whoever is criticizing Corey in some of these tapes, I see the opposite. I see people who come and hug him and love him in the city of Newark because they know him so well, because he's always on the streets. He's jogging. He's meeting people.
But as far as you called the accusation that he doesn't live in Newark, or maybe not even in New Jersey, one of the most scurrilous. But, as in the debate, I could get to particulars, which you were at, which I watched on TV, when it came time for him to answer questions, he went back to the Tea Party and my opponent, divider, and didn't answer the question. And here he was asked on CBS News Radio 88, after they played Lonigan talking about it, they said, could you settle this? Where do you live? He did not answer. All he had to say was, I live on blah, blah street. I've been there. He did not say where he lives. Why?
But I find it amazing. Think about it.
But it would probably be illegal if he were mayor of Newark and didn't live in Newark. So why not just say, here's where I live?
Steve, I'm not Cory Booker.
Yeah.
I can only tell you my relationship with Cory Booker and what I've witnessed about Cory Booker.
But you call it the most scurrilous accusation that he will not defend.
Because I visit him in Newark all the time.
But not in his house.
And tens of thousands of residents.
But not in his house. That's the issue.
See him, and I've been to his speeches there, and his lectures there, and his public events there.
Rabbi, with all due respect, you're making my point. Not at his home. For whatever reason, legitimate reasons on your part, not at his home.
Well, for all the years he lived in Brick City, he had a very tiny home.
But we're talking about
and
now.
And countless people saw him at Brick Towers,
which was
a public housing project where he had no hot water, and where the situation was really tough.
But what you call the most scurrilous accusation is not being addressed.
Here's a man who had the opportunity to accept any position in corporate America that would have made him a very wealthy man, and he could have lived in some penthouse.
He's a very wealthy man.
But he chose not to. He chose not to.
Okay.
Well, he's invited to give speeches because he's a very
but the law
person,
firm,
but he gives a huge amount of charity.
The law firm he worked for, which he's now getting payments, since he left, in which there were accusations that he steered business to those law firms. Maybe, some would accuse it as a quid pro quo. I'm not about that, but again, and I'm going to leave this, but
Corey's been so scrutinized by the media in this run.
Not really.
Well, I think he really has.
Not really.
There's been a lot of stories, been a lot of negative stories, and that's part of running. I think Corey knows that. I ran. I had the same kind of scrutiny. Anyone that runs knows that they're going to get that kind of scrutiny, especially Corey because he's a national figure. He has been both praised and attacked by liberal publications and by conservative publications. That's the way it is. Corey is human. He's not superhuman, but he's a very special person who I saw with my own eyes back at the University of Oxford, going to housing projects, Blackbird Leys, these very poor British housing projects.
I don't doubt
working with the underprivileged when there were no votes to be had.
But you didn't see
and
with
I
your
saw
own eyes.
And I know the man's character.
But you didn't
and I know what a special person
but you
he
didn't
is.
See him
Much
with your
more
own,
than the media
But
does.
you didn't see him with your own eyes living in Newark in recent years.
I saw him at our house for Shabbos dinner all the time.
Not
and I can't drive on. I can't
That's
drive
your
on
house.
I can't drive on. I can't drive on Shabbos.
So I'm going to drop that.
You don't want me to suddenly start getting in my car on the Sabbath.
No, I do not want you to do that. We're talking to Rabbi Shmuley. We've got a few more minutes here. Let me ask you this. On the abortion issue, and you and I have talked about social issues. We've debated social issues in the past, and I say I don't want to turn this into a debate about abortion, so we'll turn it into a debate about Cory Booker's position on abortion. Steve Lonigan made the accusation at the end of that debate, which I was shocked that NBC News on their 11 o'clock news actually ran the exchange. I thought they would run away from that. So kudos to Channel 4 in New York for running that. He said, name me, because Cory Booker, they were talking about something. Cory Booker said, you want to give choice. It was about school choice. He said, give women the right to choose. So Lonigan said, name me one abortion you would ban. One. 8 months, 9 months, whatever. One. My radical Tea Party opponent, and it went on and on. So he would not name one abortion he would ban, which leads Lonigan to say, and you can't argue much because he had his chance, that he would not ban any abortion at 9 months, at 8 months, for any reason. And how do you defend that position?
Well, first of all, you can bring up anything you want in our discussion, because in the same way that I can vouch for Corey's character, I can vouch for yours. You're a very dear friend, no matter what we disagree on. I know your character, and I know that you have a very good heart. And you're a very good man. So we can always talk. We can always argue. When I ran for Congress, I prophesied that the Republican Party would pay a terminal price for its obsession, and those are the words that I use, of what I call the social sexual obsession: abortion, gay marriage, contraception. There were other values that should have been discussed: family dinners and a year of national service, but they were all subordinate to these three sexual issues. And lo and behold, the Pope Francis gets up 3 weeks ago in a major international interview and uses the exact same terminology. The church has to stop its obsession.
You need a lawyer
with abortion,
because he
gay
stole
marriage,
your
and contraception.
ideas.
He did.
Sue the Pope.
He must be reading my articles, Steve. So even the Pope is saying that there is more to morality, more to ethics than this. So when I saw I was at that debate. When I saw Steve Lonegan again pressing the abortion button, we can debate whether Corey's answer was correct or not. But
there was no answer.
But the larger question, obviously I'm an Orthodox Jew, so my position on abortion is going to be informed and influenced by my Orthodox Judaism. But having said all that, is that really where the Republican Party always wants to focus on? Let me just tell you, 90% of abortions take place with single women who are inseminated by men who don't love them, don't care about them, use them, discard them. Why aren't we talking about marriage, the 50% divorce rate? Why aren't we building families?
Because
on the contrary, I believe that there are wider values that are influencing our culture that we never talk about. And one of the reasons that Corey has such broad national support is that he goes to these schools, high schools, and he speaks to young people about serving their country. He inspires them to see a higher message.
As he did to my son.
But when we
at his school.
You told me that, right. So, and that's a very nice thing. Corey really gets along with youth because he has the language to inspire them. But do I agree with Corey's response in that debate? I was at the debate. No, not fully, not completely. And there's going to be issues where we absolutely substantially disagree. But when it comes to whether or not a person should be elected, I believe first and foremost it's about character, and more character. And here is a person who is a trusted public servant. I trust him completely, although I may disagree with him. And part of the thing that we have in America is that we don't trust our public servants anymore. The 9% congressional approval rating has little to do with policy and more to do with the fact that the Americans don't trust these guys. They think they're only out for themselves. But I've seen Corey's selflessness for decades.
He's going to vote yes on Obamacare. He's going to vote yes on every project Obama has. There's nothing that differs him and Barack Obama. And that's
there
a problem.
Of course there are.
Like
Wait
what?
a second.
Give me one. What's the
school choice? School choice and vouchers. My gosh, Corey has been one of the most courageous Democrats on school choice and vouchers, which is arguably certainly one of the most important political issues today. Whether kids should be graduating knowing how to read and write, whether parents should have school choice.
The dropout rate in Newark is 55%. He's not been successful in 7 years as mayor.
Corey wants to bring, he doesn't control the Newark school system, let's remember, it's controlled by the state. But Corey wants to bring school choice, especially to low-income families, African-American families. He has a brother who has opened charter schools in Tennessee. We need more of them in Newark.
If I don't break,
he's a champion of
If I don't break, they're going to kick me off. Great seeing you. Great talking to you. Rabbi Shmuley Patayek, his book's coming out in December. We'll have him back. Website?
Shmuley.com and Twitter at Rabbi Shmuley.
There you go. On the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54 with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax Magazine every month.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll-free at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Malzberg. I want to be undercover. I want it to be quiet, like Cory Booker. I don't want anyone knowing where I live. I don't want anybody knowing what I do. You know, just see me in the middle of the night. I'm stopping. I'm hopping out of my my SUV and I'm shaking people's hands and I'm hugging them and they're treating me like a rock star. Then I go and I fly to California. You know, party with whoever I'm partying with for a week or two, and then I come back to Newark. Cruise around in the middle of the night, look for a fire, run out, say, you know, run into the building, save someone's life, disappear for 3 weeks. You know, where do you live? Mayor, would you tell us where you live? CBS Radio said that. Could you clear this up? Well, my opponent's bringing this up because, no, he didn't tell us where he lived. No, why not? Here's a guy who won't answer the question, are you gay or straight? Won't answer it. Can you tell us where you live? Won't answer it. I mean, what's the mystery? Then he makes up people like T-Bone, and he said the guy died in his arms when the guy died in the hospital. And I don't doubt anything Shmuley said about Cory Booker's character as interpreted by Rabbi Shmuley. I was impressed with Cory Booker the time I met him at Shmuley's house. I was impressed with him when I interviewed him at the Democratic National Convention down in Denver, in Colorado, down in 2008. I interviewed Cory Booker. But facts are facts. And as we find out more and more about a person, you know, if Steve Lonigan believe me, the whole media would be trying to track down Steve Lonigan where he lived if he wouldn't tell them where he lived. And there was any thought that he lived outside of a place he legally had to reside. But that's for another time. Okay, when we come back, what would a quote-unquote default mean for you, for me, for the country, for all of us? We're going to talk about that right here, right here when we come back with Tom Hutchinson, Senior Financial Editor of the High Income Factor newsletter. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Okay, this will interest anyone with diabetes or prediabetes. And what I'm about to tell you is pretty controversial, so you'll definitely want to consult your doctor first. But if diabetes concerns you, there's a website that you need to see at 99reverse.com. At that website, they reveal what they call the one weird spice that's probably in your kitchen right now and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. And what they say is people who have followed this plan exactly as found at 99reverse.com have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's approval, of course. At 99reverse.com, you get 3 specific actions to take right now, today, to get your blood sugar under control in 4 weeks or less. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com and find out now. Check with your doctor, of course, because I'm not giving you medical advice here. But if you have diabetes or you're worried about your blood sugar, then I think the thing to do is to check out the website, and that is 99reverse.com.
Do you suffer from joint discomfort? Contrary to what the experts may say, achy joints do not have to be a normal part of aging. Holistic doctor David Brownstein challenged conventional thinking to focus on natural solutions for joint health. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Limbex, the premium nutritional supplement specifically formulated to support healthy joints and connective tissue. It's a new joint breakthrough formula containing 11 hand-picked nutrients. Learn more at limbexjoint.com/special and take the 30-day Healthy Joint Challenge. That's a 30-day supply of the Limbex Joint Supplement. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Happy, Healthy Joints at Any Age. You can do something about joint discomfort and flexibility. Learn how you can try it for 30 days at limbexjoint.com/special. That's limbexjoint.com/special. limbexjoint.com/special.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alice Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Here's from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The Silver Polar Bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream, streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Coming up in a little while, we'll be joined by Ryan Morrow, National Security Analyst at ClarionProject.com. And Ryan's going to talk about the dry ice bombs at LAX, the dry run on the flight from D.C. to Orlando and back that we talked about yesterday, and also how we're funding radical Islam, Muslim Brotherhood style, in Turkey and Qatar. Interesting stuff coming up in this half hour. But right now, we're joined by Tom Hutchinson, Senior Financial Editor of the HighIncomeFactor.com newsletter. Welcome aboard. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Okay, so 30 hours till the quote-unquote default, the debt ceiling. If it's not raised, we're in trouble. Talk about first what would happen if we reach Thursday at midnight or whatever that deadline is. What happens immediately? Nothing really, right?
Well, let me first start telling you what won't happen.
Okay.
They've been running around threatening a default, like we'll default on our debt. That will not happen. We take in revenues every month more than 10 times what it takes to pay the interest on our debt. And legally, they're obligated to do that first. And you can also prioritize Social Security payments for the military. So a default, as it's currently being projected in the media, is a complete falsehood.
And as it's being projected by Obama and the Treasury Secretary and the Democrats.
Well, most especially, yes.
Yeah.
But again, we do cross the deadline. The markets aren't going to like it because nobody knows exactly what will happen. Now, you can use the word default, and they insinuate it to mean not paying our bonds.
Right.
But you can also say, if you don't pay any of your bills on time, it's a technical default.
Okay.
Which could be arguably the case. Now, if that happens, no one really knows what would happen. But it most certainly wouldn't be the catastrophe that some are out there calling.
All right, so paying the interest on the debt, paying Social Security, paying our military, and that would involve prioritizing, which is what, God forbid, you lose your job, I lose my job, or our incomes get cut. All of a sudden, we got to decide, okay, are we going to spend our money on medicine, or are we going to spend our money on eating out 3 times a week? That's prioritizing, which is what the Treasury Secretary has said. You can't do it because it's everything. This is what they said. Everything's computerized. So it's not like you could say, okay, I'm going to write the checks out because it takes, there are millions of checks. So you can't write the checks out to who you decide. It's all done by computer. You can't prioritize who the computer will write the checks out to. Is there any validity in your view to that?
I can't imagine that they can't prioritize and send it out. We'll work on the computers. Fix it.
Oh, well, we've seen Obamacare.
Well, yeah, but I would get to work on that right away. But no, they certainly can prioritize.
Right,
it might be a little trouble.
Okay, so if they prioritize and want to prioritize and not purposely cause chaos and wreak havoc, then they could take care of the debt, they could take care of Social Security, but there will be some things that they can't pay, no matter what it is, and you said that would technically be defined as default of something, right?
Right. If they don't, they don't pay a contractor on time. They don't pay for some supplies on time. And who knows how the market wouldn't like it.
Right. And our credit rating. There's already a credit agency, Fitch, says that the U.S. is on rating watch negative. What exactly does that mean?
Well, it means that, they're leaning toward a negative rating. And
now, that's not AAA, AA. I mean, explain to me. There's positive, negative, and then there's, in addition to AA, AAA, or?
Well, that means that bias negative means the next step down.
Okay, so if it's triple, it'll go to double.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
So if Fitch acts tomorrow in anticipation that there's still no deal and they don't have confidence, what might we see in the markets?
You mean if Fitch does downgrade our rating?
Yeah, if they downgrade tomorrow or so.
The markets aren't going to like it. But again, they should have downgraded us a long time ago. The ratings they have are a joke. The ratings agencies prostituted themselves in the financial crisis. And then when finally it was interesting, when in 2011 the government actually made steps to control its fiscal spending, that's when they downgraded it.
Right.
So it doesn't make a lot of sense. Plus, after being sued by the government, S&P sued by the government, I don't know how anxious these other agencies are to jump into that.
We're talking to Tom Hutchinson, Senior Financial Editor of the HighIncomeFactor.com, and the website is HighIncomeFactor.com, and if that doesn't work, try the HighIncomeFactor.com. A lot of great information there for you. Okay, so as you sit here, let me rephrase that. As I sit here, I'm not a rich man, and people listening to us, most of them aren't rich people. Maybe they have a 401k, maybe their kid has a 529, and I'm not asking for financial advice necessarily, so I'll phrase it this way. How concerned should they be?
Well,
short term and long term.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned in the short term. They'll bang along. The market has an upward bias. Frankly, if this current rift causes a sell-off, I think it's a much overdue opportunity and a great chance to get in.
So that's for the long term too. So a good opportunity long term.
I think for the next year or two, things look pretty good for the market. Over the longer term than that, now we get into some shenanigans with the money printing and all that, and what effect will that have?
Right. Well, the new nominee for the Fed. All indications are, as a non-pro, that she will basically continue or believes in the philosophy that Bernanke has had all along, which is print, 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 right?
Well, you would think so, because you'd figure Obama would want to pick a dove, and a dove is described as somebody who's anxious to print and spur the economy. Because as would any president presiding over a sluggish economy, they want him to juice up the economy on their watch. So they're like, apparently, I think he feels she'll be dovish. And certainly has given every indication, but she has had somewhat of an independent streak. I wouldn't write her off yet. I think, she has some good qualities.
All right. So let me we address the debt and the crisis and where it could go and where, it may not go. But let me ask you about Obamacare a little bit. As the economic experts that I've talked to over the years under Obama, regulation, uncertainty as far as businesses are concerned, why there's no hiring or very little hiring and not enough hiring, and the numbers indicate, they bear that out that we need $250 a month to make a dent, and we don't get that. Threat of regulation, uncertainty of taxes, etc. And Obamacare has been staring businesses in the face, and now we're seeing them start to scramble, either lay employees off, more part-timers, even notwithstanding Kathleen Sebelius, who denied that part-time employment is up. When the jobs reports come out, part-time employment is at an all-time high. Is there a new normal right now in this country?
Yeah, there is a new normal. And Obamacare is a big part of it, and everything he said, the regulations, everything else. That is going to be a drag on the economy. But the American economy is pretty resilient. You can beat it up pretty good. And, in the last couple of years, it's been one of the best Western economies around. The market's been good, with a lot of help from the Fed. But even under these bad circumstances, it has shown some signs of life. But as long as you have those drags that you speak of, you're never going to see the 4.5% growth that you saw in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, those days gone. Okay, you and I were talking before we went on and talking about the Republicans and the mistake that was made and to close down the government to take us to this point because the factors were working against them, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I don't say it was a mistake to threaten to shut down the government. What a lot of people don't understand is this.
To think that they wouldn't be blamed was a mistake, I guess.
That was a big mistake. Yeah. Because that is for sure. And the Republicans should have known, taking on this administration and the government expansion and that sort of thing, they are going to get a heavy reaction. And this administration not only has the bully pulpit, which is always good to have, but they have the Obama media on their side too.
Absolutely.
And if you think the House of Representatives can take that on and win the PR battle, you're crazy.
Although, interesting, independents, the AP poll, independents disapprove of Obama 60%. He has a 16% approval rating, and that was borne out in the Washington Post ABC News poll that came out yesterday. I think the approval rating, a disapproval rating for independents was like 57%. So he's taken quite a hit. His overall approval rating in the AP poll last week was 37%, but the media doesn't trumpet that. And the Wall Street Journal poll that came out where they showed Republicans, I think 57% blame Republicans. You know what the four choices were? Obama, the Republicans in the Congress, both or don't know. There was no option to pick and blame Democrats in the Congress. There was no option.
Absolutely. And these are very interesting numbers you point out, because the 37% is a bad number.
The independent number is terrible.
The independent number is awful. I'm not sure he cares.
Yeah.
But mostly he cares about his own base.
Sure.
But you get down to 30%, that's a bad number. Yeah. And second-term presidents that I've known having a hard time of it, whose names weren't Reagan or Clinton.
Right.
They can, slip down in the 42, 43%.
Right.
It's bad, but they can
although
get
it did happen to Bush once. All right, listen, Tom Hutchinson, senior financial editor of the High Income Factor. It's highincomefactor.com, the newsletter. Check it out. Steve Malzberg on the Steve Malzberg Show. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, when we come back, Ryan Morrow. You're not going to want to miss this. If you care about terrorism, if you fly, if you're planning on flying, if you've ever flown, get a load of this and where our money's going to Turkey and Qatar. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family.
Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already an Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today. Go to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
Larry works on the construction site when he's not held up with constipation. Mary sits all day at a desk, which does little to relieve gas and bloating. You can't schedule abdominal discomfort, but you can help alleviate it with Back2Pro. Developed by holistic medical doctor David Brownstein, Back2Pro is the fiber probiotic. Includes the most essential ingredients necessary to help support your healthy digestive and immune function. Experience the results. Learn how you can receive a 30-day supply of Back2Pro. Just visit back2pro.com/offer. All you cover is a and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Probiotics and Your Health. Do something about your digestive health now. Get your 30-day supply at back2pro.com/offer. That's BACTIPRO.com/offer. Limited time only. Back2pro.com/offer.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
A hot new book by Craig Smith argues that the greenback is now at high risk. Thanks to our spendthrift politicians, Mark Twain said the truth is stranger than fiction. The same is true of the Great Debasement, which began a century ago with the creation of the Federal Reserve and income tax. The result, today's dollar retains just 2 cents of its original buying power. Yes, progressive politicians have engineered the largest wealth confiscation in history, creating in essence a fourth branch of government. Learn what must be done to preserve your money if the dollar crashes. The good news is Swiss America is offering the Great Debasement, a $20 value free of charge for the special radio offer.
800-818-3967. 800-818-3967. 800-818-3967. Call Swiss America now for a free DVD 800-818-3967.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy.
Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll-free at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, we talked about this with Andy McCarthy, and separately, aside from Andy's appearance, the dry run that apparently has taken place on at least one flight, or two flights, one going from Washington, D.C. to Orlando, and then on a different day, the same flight going back from Orlando to D.C., Muslim men, or Islam, or should I say Middle Eastern men, and then women in burqas on the return flight. TSA said, no need for further investigation. And now we have this this incident out of Los Angeles. Detectives today continued their efforts to find the suspect wanted for planting dry ice bombs around LAX, LA International Airport. Joining us right now to talk about this and a great column he wrote that's going to really tick you off, unfortunately, and tick us all off, is national security analyst from the ClarionProject.org, is Ryan Morrow. Hey, Ryan, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
All right, my pleasure. All right, so what do you make of, first of all, let's start with the bombs, the dry ice bombs in LAX. First they found one, and now they've found several more. What does that mean to you, and how significant is this?
That obviously is an act of terrorism, even though the official policy and the official stance right now is that there is no evidence of a nexus between terrorism. But common sense shows that this obviously is. Whether it's Islamic in nature or not, we don't know. But you don't just accidentally set off dry ice bombs at a major airport. That is someone who intends to do damage, and that is an act of terrorism.
And here's, I don't know if this is more troubling than if it were the other way around or not, but in these instances, the bombs were left in an area of the airport that requires special clearance for access. So someone, apparently, who has a pass, who has special clearance, is involved in this.
Right. And I suppose there is that minute chance that this is just a disgruntled worker that decided to get back at the airport that wronged him or something, but if you look at the signs of this, it definitely points in the direction of being terrorism motivated. But nonetheless, this does speak to the issue of terrorism because this is a relatively easy plot for Al-Qaeda or Hezbollah or whoever to carry out. And so even if this is just some nut job that hates his coworkers, just imagine what a homegrown terrorist could do if he could do it.
Yeah, and one of the big fears I think we've all always had was not only the person trying to get through security in the aftermath of 9/11, but the people who are hired to work in these airports who have complete access to the planes, from the cleaning staff to the people loading the luggage, right on down the line, that any one of them could do something to a plane or put a bomb, God forbid, or anything. And now this kind of makes you start thinking along those lines. So what do you think of this report out of Orlando, which I know you're familiar with, and the memo involved? The Orlando TV station got a hold of this confidential TSA memo talking about these, what appear to be dry runs. It was the same type of thing that happened to James Woods, the actor, in August of 2001, before 9/11, which turned out Muhammad Atta was involved in that dry run. So this, to me, is very alarming.
It's very alarming, but what's their official stance yet again? No evidence of links to terrorism. That seems to be the automatic assumption or the automatic public stance of officials whenever something like this happens, because they don't want to cause panic or hurt the economy, hurt their own industry. And so the airlines do have an incentive to wait until there's that smoking gun proof as a terrorist incident before saying anything. But the best sources to know if something is dangerous are the people that are on the plane and the pilots, because they're going to know what's abnormal. They're going to know what is, how many people going to the bathroom and whether it's provocative or not. And if they're saying that's dangerous and they're worried about it when they encounter this every single day, then that worries me.
Yeah, how the FBI didn't greet that plane and pull those people. I mean, at an airport, they have great leeway, don't they? I mean, if you say, if you look the wrong way, if you say the wrong word, or someone thinks you said bomb, or someone thinks you're joking about some kind of explosion, or if you refuse to turn off your laptop on a plane, I mean, they could throw you off and the FBI could question you. And this kind of stuff happens, and no need for further investigation. I can only hope, but doubt, that they're just telling us that, but they know who these people are and they're investigating them.
Well, I'm sure that their names have been recorded. As soon as you send any type of report like that, it would be very surprising to me if they didn't at least look at the names of the people on the plane. But the fact that there weren't investigations and interviews of these individuals is telling. And I think that that's because of two things. First of all, it's political correctness. And second, it's the threat of a lawsuit. Because did they do anything illegal on that plane? No. And the fact that they were Middle Eastern is going to play a part, rightly or wrongly, in your assessment of their actions. And groups like the Council on American Islamic Relations or the North American Imams Federation or whatever, these organizations love opportunities like this to make it sound like Muslims are being persecuted all over the place and to launch lawsuits. And if you're working for an airline is a troubled industry right now, you do not want a high-profile, expensive lawsuit.
We're talking to Ryan Morrow, National Security Analyst for the ClarionProject.org. You can check them out there, ClarionProject.org. Here on the Steve Malzberg Show, you wrote a great piece today, an eye-opening piece, which is, just fits the MO of this administration and their love for the Muslim Brotherhood. And look what they did in Egypt by pulling the aid for the Egyptian military just the other day. Now we know that because of you, millions of American taxpayer dollars are being spent to promote the Muslim Brotherhood brand of Islam in Turkey and Qatar. What the heck is going on?
Because I talk to a lot of officials and I've seen this policy in motion, believe it or not, this doesn't surprise me. And that's because the Obama administration views the Muslim Brotherhood as being a few degrees less extreme, therefore moderate, as opposed to Al-Qaeda. And so the Muslim Brotherhood is actually viewed by this current administration and a lot of people in academia as being the solution to the Al-Qaeda brand of Islam. The thinking goes that if you offer them this alternative where people can vent their frustrations in democratic elections and through more nonviolent means, that they'll transfer their support from Al-Qaeda to the Muslim Brotherhood. That's a wonderful thing. And so what the administration is doing is they've set up a fund with the Islamist government of Turkey and the Islamist government of Qatar to support their version of Islam in a $200 million fund as a way of battling the Al-Qaeda ideology in the region.
And without going into great detail, you end the piece by saying, unfortunately, America's strategy will either create more Al-Qaeda recruits, which it's supposedly designed to stop, by expanding the overall Islamist following, or, if it works as intended, will hurt Al-Qaeda, but strengthen the other Islamist movements like the Muslim Brotherhood.
That's exactly right. Because this is what's important about this fund, which the U.S. is contributing $2 to $3 million to right off the bat, is that there's an ideological component. We want to push a religious message that says Al-Qaeda is wrong. But the government they're using to do that are the governments of Turkey and Qatar, which support the Islamist ideology. So you're fighting hardline Islamism with slightly less hardline Islamism.
Yeah, it is just insane. Ryan, always good to talk to you, my friend. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Ryan Morrow, National Security Analyst for the Clarion Project, clarionproject.org. It's just insane. The insanity continues. And where is it continuing? Right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. 877-NEWSMAX. That's the new number, 877-NEWSMAX. If you want to weigh in, Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.